Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we have a very unique guest, and she, incidentally, as she has put it, either she is in her mind or she's on her bellies. She is an Aikido teacher. Aikido literally means the art of non-violence. So she may be an astrologer, but don't take her to be a frail astrologer. She is all knowledgeable about the war path. So what attracted you to astrology, SueAnn? Because Aikido is such a different, as extreme as it can be from astrology.
Well, I kind of stumbled on it. While I was doing Aikido, I also did bodybuilding, believe it or not. I had a professional bodybuilding career. And when I retired from that, I mean, I really went deep into the physical manifested universe. I went to, in my retirement, right after I went to India and stayed in an ashram for a couple of months. And in that ashram, I met a Jyotishi, which I didn't know what he was. He was just an old guy who read my planets by looking at my face and hands. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked at the stuff he said. So I came back home and went to a bookstore, and I found one book on Vedic astrology. And I never had an interest in astrology. I thought it was kind of dumb. And that was David Frawley's book. And David Frawley completely opened this whole new universe to me, and I just fell madly in love with it. And then right after that, they started the Aqua conferences. This was with 1990. And the next year, they started the ACVA, what do they call it? The American Council of Vedic Astrology in San Rafael, which is kind of close to where I live. Dennis Harness and David Frawley and all those American astrologers. So I had those conferences to kind of feed me, because there weren't really many teachers and there weren't any computers or webinars to take. So I got gradually into it, and I kind of just dibble-dabbled for the first few years. I loved it. It was I felt it in my heart and in my soul, but I was too busy with so many other things. I was in college. I had 3 jobs. I was teaching. And plus I didn't really know how to use a computer. And that was starting to, become a necessity if you wanted to do charts. So I gradually got into that. In fact, I probably still wouldn't be using a computer if it wasn't for Jyotish. It was like the thing. I said, God, I have to get a computer. This is the early 90s, They weren't, that, like today.
There were big boxes of television, big boxes of television, cartons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were horrible. It was just...
Commodore 64 that lasted a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, they were very archaic. I feel like I'm dating myself big time, but that's how it gradually happened. And then I had a few big breaks, but I was always thinking about the planets and the stars. And I think, I studied with Heart to Foe, but then I met Sanjay in Sunnyvale. He was doing a conference, and that really made me want to dig in, and I realized I'm never going to get this sort of diddling around, and so I started to study with him and go to India. I realized also that Jyotish is embedded deeply in Indian culture, so it'd help a little bit if I spent a little time in India, and it just seemed easier to get it in India than here.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. So what are you planning to teach us today?
Well, I wanted to do something simple. I mean, lately I've been, having taken those nakshatra courses, I really kind of fell in love with these devas and these deities, learning about them in the nakshatra course. And another teacher of mine is AIAC Astrology, Sovik Datta. Mm-hmm. And 5 or 6 years ago, he taught me about the Dashamsha deities, which I actually use a lot. I don't use in a very complicated way, but I always check them in people's charts. And I find, just like with nakshatras, if you understand the deity, you understand something deep about a person. So the same thing with these Dashamsha deities, they, you can understand something about what a person, what would turn them on in their career, what would, enliven them, what would inspire them. Kind of the Shamsha is all about the directions, the 8 directions, the, Kala Chakra, and then the up and the down direction. So the 10 directions, 10 being the kind of paths of karma, life path. So you can kind of point to, give people guidance of what direction to go in by looking at the deities in their D10. I just always I'm gonna put the Nama.
Yeah, we are going to have a really nice time with you going there because we really love it. Deities are Indian favorites. So, moving ahead with Om Gango Ganpate Namah.
I just, this was just a little thing, I forget where I got it, but that the 10 directions of the, that we're going to talk about, the deities line up to the, east, west, north, south, and then the in-between directions, as well as going up and down. It's called the Kala Chakra. And at the end of these slides, I put the Varamahira, Sarjeet Potter's very nice, 8-petal lotus with all of the information, the weapons and all that of the different deities.
Great, that's great.
Yeah.
So we move ahead to that. Okay.
People can read that themselves. Okay, so basically the focus is to look at the deity, the ruler of the Lagna in the D10. That's the most important thing, the Lagna ruler. And then if there are grahas in the Lagna, D10 Lagna, what deities are in there? So that would cause a combined effect. Okay. Or possibly a dual career or dual interests. If there's 2 planets in the Lagna, so all 3 of those deities would influence what a person wants to do in their career. Or what life path they want to take. And then the other thing to check out is the 10th Lord in the Rashi. If the 10th Lord in the Rashi is, say, Venus, you check Venus. What deity, what Amsha rules, what deity rules that graha.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the things. And then, you can look at everything, of course. Shani and Surya are both parkas of work, so you could look at those too. But I thought today I just kind of said, let's look at the deity of the Lagna and any grahas in the Lagna of the person's chart. And the Karmesha, the D10 Lord in the Rashi.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these are the directions. You could see, eastern direction is Surya, Indra. And I'm going to go through, I made a table with kind of key words like Indra. We know Indra is the one who wants to conquer and he wants to win and overcome obstacles and challenges. Yeah. So like careers for Indra, people who have strong Indra, they're going to want to be, on top. They're going to want to be in the chair of the CEO. They want to sit on the throne. So they would make good politicians. But as we'll see, you got somebody like Mother Teresa with her Lagna in Indra. And if you do any research on Mother Teresa, she was a pretty imperious lady. She got what she wanted, right? And she ruled over a big organization. She isn't even one of my Indra examples, but But I think about her and I think, yeah, people think she's a little old lady, but she's pretty powerful. And then, you know, that's Indra in the east. And of course, the grahas that goes with it is the sun, which is, you know, the boss, the king. Mm-hmm. Then if we go clockwise, we've got the southeast direction. Oops. Okay, yeah, southeast direction. And that's ruled by Agni. And Agni is the is kind of like second to Indra in terms of being good leaders. They make great leaders, very inspiring, but they would be second to Indra because they don't have the control that Indra has. They tend to get, you know, very very inspired, all-consuming, obsessed about their goals and what they want. So they kind of need containment. So they would be good kind of right-hand mans maybe to Indra. But they're all about...
Balance. Balance is Indra who has a balance of power.
Yes. Yes.
And Agni is more of passion in the sense that they do what they have to do or want to do irrespective of that balance. Is it?
Exactly. That's a good way to say it. Perfect. Yeah, they're just consumed with their creative energy. So they need containment. And like you said, Indra has that disciplined power, like a good king on the throne. Mm-hmm. So you could see a lot of creative artists. Also, you know, leaders like social justice, you know, leaders inspiring, like Martin Luther King, somebody like that. Yeah. Let's see. And, okay, so then in the southern direction is Yama, which is, Agni goes with Venus. Let's see, fire element, but the planet is Venus. And then Mars is ruling the south. It's Yama, the direction of death, or the god Dharmaraj. But anyway, we know that Yama is living in the underworld. He's the judge. He's the one that basically, you could say jobs that require very high standards, like choosing, discerning right from wrong, like a judge in a court, or safety engineers who have to have really pure quality control standards, or the laboratory can blow up. My brother was a safety engineer. You know, he's a real perfectionist. You know, just they don't care about the power; they care about things being right and pure high quality.
It's the martial quality of the planet taking control. You know, what should I say? The general? Is it about the general?
I think of it more like somebody whose job is not. It could be the general because it's in the direction of the south, which is Mars. But I always think of them as more about discriminating. But yeah, a good general has to have good strategic thinking. They have to make really precise decisions, or people will get killed. But I was thinking it kind of more of someone who's very focused on morals. They have a sense inside of how it should be. You know, they have a deep sense of the right way to go. You know, and maybe that'll clash a lot with other people because we all have our own sense of what's right and wrong. But testers, it could be someone those people who test perfumes. They have a really fine olfactory discriminator. You know, their job is, you know, creating beautiful perfumes. Or taste, like wine tasting. Could be something like that even. Okay. So that kind of a discernment and just making distinctions. So yeah, it could be anything, all the way from being a general to a perfume maker. Okay, and so that's the southern direction. Then we have Niriti in the southwest direction. That's the Rahu direction. And Niriti is the goddess of destruction. So often you see people who are healers. They break things, like kind of a little bit like a slasha. You know, you give poison to heal, or you're a doctor. You have to cut out the the cancer. They could be somebody who cleans up the garbage. Problems, that they're good at dealing with tamas energy, getting rid of things. Maybe demolition, people who have to tear down old buildings, okay, and clearing away the debris. So that's a Nritti person. I couldn't find a lot of those people. I really searched and searched, but I think I found somebody good. And the next direction, the opposite of Indra, is Varuna, sort of the dark sun, they call it. So you can see these, also you could see these in terms of polarities, east and west, sun, Saturn, Mercury, Mars is a polarity. So they're all, connected to each other that way. But so Varuna is what's called sometimes the dark sun, or the god of the sea, like Poseidon in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And Saturn is the planet that goes with it. And Varuna often, I find, has similar qualities to Yama, in the sense that they both have to do with restraining and kind of controlling and restricting. And, Varuna, let's see. Varuna has the noose, right? Yeah, the noose. But Yama is like the one that kind of tells you you're going to go to hell, or you're going to go to purgatory, you're going to go to heaven, right? He judges you based on your karmas, your deeds in your life. So he has this kind of passing judgment and punishment quality to him. Both of them do, Yama and Varuna. So Varuna is like someone that, he's the sea also. I think of him like the god of the sea. So he has this broad, all-seeing, I think of the ocean, calms things down. Everything that goes in the ocean kind of gets dissolved. So you could see Varuna being a very good manager. The guy who holds the team together. Not interested like Indra in leading, but more teamwork, managing, diplomats, creating harmony and peace.
HR?
Yeah, yes, yeah, HR. So when Indras are fighting, Varuna comes in and calms things down. Stress, crisis managers, psychologists, they can see, they can understand, they can deal with, they have that perspective of, instead of getting too fixated on a problem, like maybe Agni would get all obsessed, Varuna just chills them out. Okay, and then we go to Vayu. Okay, I have a lot of this. So remember, Vayu Dev is very powerful deity, powerful god. He was the father of Bhima and the Pandava, the bodybuilder of the Pandava brothers.
Yes.
So
and Hanuman.
Yeah, and Hanuman, right. So the wind, the pranas, it's all about strength, and I think of strength comes from your pranas, not from your muscles. And, think of a tornado. I have a very good example of Vayu with Bruce Lee. He was an extremely powerful martial artist based on his, we call it ki or chi in martial arts. So these folks are very interactive. They don't want to be pinned down. They like a lot of diversity, freedom. Think of the wind. It wants to be free and flow. And so they have, they get bored with doing one job. So they like to have a lot of choices. Strength could come into it, like I was a bodybuilder, using your strength and your power, but not like an Indra would use their power. It's more, this kind of ability to do lots of things, lots of energy, networking. It's multitasking. Just juggling a lot of different things.
It's Vayu. It goes everywhere. So your
Yeah.
ability to be there a number of places at the same time.
Yeah. So they could get scattered. You know, they could maybe be a mile wide and an inch deep too. That could be an issue with them. Okay, now we're at the north direction, which is, well, by Mercury and Kubera. Okay, so Kubera is the god of wealth. Kubera is, so people who are strong Kuberas, well, just, you know, naturally have a lot of wealth, maybe without even trying. I have a good example in John Lennon. So it's not just about wealth, but record keeping, accounting, accumulating, collecting, storing. All that is Kubera. I think of Virgo, you know, when I think of Kubera, because it's, you know, a very strong Mercury sign. And this is where we store the grain, right? We harvest and store in Virgo. And then it gets distributed in Libra, which is where Swati is. And so we've got those two next door to each other, storing, collecting, then distributing it out through a very airy Libra sign, which is all about the marketplace too.
True, very true. Yeah.
And the northeast direction is Ishana Shiva, which is, I don't know why it's spelt this way, but it's, I've seen it with an I, Ishana Shiva. Basically, I couldn't find any mythology about Ishana Shiva. I remember Sanjay Roth talked about Ishana when we talked about the Atma, the different forms of Atma. The Jupiter was connected with Ishana. So like a Jupiter Atmakaraka person, that would be the highest form of Jupiter Atmakaraka. But anyway, it's a very spiritual direction. So people with strong Ishana direction often want to become spiritual guides or join the priesthood or become a Brahmin, you know, do rituals. But just in a mundane way, they're advisors, counselor type people, therapists, and teachers and coaches. You know, here we got a lot of life coaches, maybe tarot readers. I also think of Varuna can be good tarot readers and astrologers and psychologists. So same with Niriti, because you're solving problems. I think anybody can be an astrologer, but, you know, maybe with a different spin. Maybe the Brahmin people would probably be wanting to create new things. So if we go to Brahma, that's the upward direction.
Yes, the zenith.
Yeah, the zenith. And Brahma is the creator god, right? Everything, he manifests everything. So people with strong Brahma will be, you know, geniuses, innovators. They can create, like the magician in the tarot. They can create something out of nothing, it seems like, to other people. They're always cooking and incubating unique ideas, you know, hatching something. They're also connected with, they need hierarchies. They need to be in a structure where their ideas can get implemented. Is there more to that down there?
No.
Can that scroll? Oh, okay. So I clump these in first doing the cardinal directions. You know, starting with the east with Indra, east, west, Varuna, then Yama, then Kubera.
Yeah.
Now, Kubera is the only one that doesn't have his vehicle there, his Vahana.
But I have a little mongoose on his, yes.
But his vehicle was, I have another little picture in one of the slides with Kubera driving, he's going piggyback on a human being. His vehicle was a human being because, you know, when money makes us work, you know, we want that money. We want that to accumulate stuff, so we have to work really hard. So he's always kind of cracking the whip over us humans. But I didn't know why that mongoose was there. Do you, what the significance of the mongoose?
No,
Okay.
no significance. Not that I know of.
It's his little pet. So my first example of Indra, who I think is Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham Lincoln was uneducated, came from a very poor, dysfunctional family. His father was abusive. His mother died when he was 9 years old. I mean, he was a mess. He had terrible beginnings, no support, and look at, he never won anything. I think he lost. He ran for Senate. He lost. And he's just one of those special beings that, and the election was very close and disputed. It was very difficult. It was kind of like our own election recently. But he is this double Indra dude. He's got Sun in Indra in the Lagna, and the Lagna Indra is in Indra. And he's also a Vargotama Lagna. So he's got Sun in his Rashi, but you can see here he's a Vargotama Sun. In the D-10, it's in Indra as well as the Lagna. So he was meant to be a war president, to guide the ship of state through a horrible crisis of the country. And let's see, the Karmasha is in Agni.
Okay. So on this chart, see, it's in the futuristic sign of Aquarius. So he is one of those people who propelled the country into a future generation, future era.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, maybe without his guidance, the country wouldn't have survived. It would have broken up into pieces.
Yes.
So, yeah, so he had Aquarius, and also, if you know anything about Abraham Lincoln, he was depressed his whole life and somewhat suicidal. I mean, just, doesn't look at all like an Indra type person. He looks very Saturnian, right?
The leaders are the most unhappy because they can't afford to show their unhappiness on the face. So,
yes. So anyway, he contrasts very much with my next example of Indra. So we have Abe, and then we have Donald. So Donald Trump is in the news a lot, so people are very aware of him. But I put here the story of Indra, where he has the hots for Ahalya, Gautama Rishi's wife, right? She's a very pious and chaste lady. And basically, Indra could seduce anybody, but he couldn't seduce her because she's so pure and pious. So he, tricked her, disguised himself. He turned himself into Gautama, and she thought it was her husband, and she laid with him. And anyway, Gautama, being a psychic rishi type, sensed that something was amiss and found out that they had slept together and cursed Indra. They both got cursed, but Indra particularly got cursed to have 1,000 vaginas on his body. So I don't know if you're aware that during the election, all kinds of women came out accusing, Trump of sexual assault, misconduct, all kinds of, Indra type things. So if you look here, inappropriate, yeah. Really almost took him down. It was touch and go there, I thought. I thought it would take him down, but anyway, he's not an Indra Lagna in the D-10, but he does have 4 planets in Indra, one of them being the sun. The planets in the D-10 Lagna are very influential on your career path. So Yama would be influencing him, that quality control, high standards. I mean, if you look at his family and you look at his buildings and you look at all the stuff he's done, it's all, he's like, you look at where he lives, his palaces and stuff, it's all, it looks like perfection to me anyway. There's no messy shelves and So he's all about quality control, but also I look at the dominance of Indra with a planet in both, two planets actually, Sun and Rahu, as well as Ketu and Moon. So 4 planets influencing the Lagna of the D-10. So that's going to overshadow this Yama Lagna, but Yama will still be an influence. That's kind of how I see it. I see the different forces influencing his career path. So I see some Yama underneath with all this Indra on top. And here he is at 70 years old becoming the president. You know, late in life, he becomes a politician.
If you see, it's his D10 has Sun and Rahu in the house of business, as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
And in his Lagna chart, he has Sun and Rahu in his 10th house. So.
Yes. Exactly.
It's strong. And Rahu has a propensity to expand anything that comes in its way. So yes, things have expanded for him. His administrative power has, his leadership power has expanded to the country at large. So that Indra has got that quality here now.
Right, and look at it's also a debilitated sun. So we, with Rahu, I mean, we're going to be going through some really rough times in the next 3-4 years, maybe next year, this year, whatever. Okay, so moving on to, I'm going now from east to west, and strong. Warren, you guys know Warren Buffett? Okay, Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett's probably the most, he's one of those guys. I think he's got $60 billion or something. I think it was in 2008, he was considered the richest man in the world. And he's a big philanthropist, CEO, manages a lot of stuff. I was researching him last night on Wikipedia. But now that I have this webcam, I don't feel like looking down at my notes, so I'm just going to go do this from memory. So he is very involved in politics, but doesn't want to rule. He's more into supporting, like in the Democratic politics, he's very much into supporting, like he was on one of Obama's, he was very much advising and supporting Obama with economic stuff when we were going through the big economic crash. Let's see what he's got. Lagna in, so he does have some Indra. The Lagna is in Indra, but there's 2 other planets that are both in Varuna. Jupiter being one, and the Sun. Sun and Jupiter are both in Varuna. So they kind of overshadow that Indra. A little bit opposite of what Donald. So his main emphasis is on managing and bringing all of his various interests together. And he's made a ton of money. So he does have some Kubera. He's got his Karmesha, his Rashi 10th Lord.
Yes,
in
the 10th house, yes. And that's Mercury, exalted Mercury, Kubera in the 10th house. Over here it's with Mars. Now here's that little picture of, there's Kubera riding on a human. And this is Varuna here with his noose. The binder, the restrainer. Yes.
Oh, something about Warren Buffett I thought was interesting. And he lives in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska. He's very frugal. So he lives in this very modest sort of middle-class house in Omaha. Drives his own car, doesn't carry a cell phone, doesn't use a computer. He's just, a real simple guy. He's known for his frugality, being frugal. Now, I don't know if that's a quality of Varuna or not, but he's definitely not a show-off. Not like Indra, who has to have this big palace.
So, but his D10 has Jupiter, which definitely does with the Indra. So that is more of a counsel that he has there to be able to. I'm just asking you, is it not so like that? Could it not be because of that?
Oh, you mean Jupiter being in the Lagna of...
Yes, D10, as you had said.
Yeah, it could make him more, the Varuna advisor, someone who's not supportive so much, but managing everything behind the scenes. He doesn't need to be up front, top dog on top of everybody, dominating. He's somebody who more works behind the scenes.
The minister, the counselor, and that.
Yeah. Yeah. But, he's a big-time CEO in his own right, but he doesn't do it like an Indra.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He's not interested in that. He's more interested in setting up things and letting other people, do them. Like he's got all these interests everywhere.
Yeah, so it's a very subtle effect. It's a subtle effect.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So let's see. So now we're going into the south-north axis with Sri Aurobindo and John Lennon. Mm-hmm. So Aurobindo is a Yama Lagna in the D10. Mm-hmm. As you can see here, he's got 2 grahas. Mm-hmm. Both planets are in Yama. Mm-hmm. So it's very strong Yama influence, right? Mm-hmm. And then a little bit of the Karmesha is Mars, and it's in Brahma Amsha. Mm-hmm. So 3, you could say, really strong Yama. So looking at Aurobindo, he's pretty famous for having started out a freedom fighter, a social justice warrior type guy, not a spiritual teacher. And it was being restrained in jail, being put in jail, which totally transformed him into a philosopher and a spiritual teacher, right? He had the spiritual experience. I think Krishna, but also Vivekananda was counseling him. This is probably 10 years after Vivekananda passed away. But he said Vivekananda constantly was teaching him and telling him things. And so he shifted completely off the, mundane or politics of the country into, creating the organization, Integral Yoga. He didn't even know about yoga. And it was the Yama that switched him, and but he created this Integral Yoga. And another thing about him, he went into seclusion like for 4 years. And every time he came out with something, he always spent all this time deep in meditation and seclusion and, shut off from the rest of the world. But for many years, he had the British hounding him for this, that, and the other thing, trying to get him back in jail. So I thought that was pretty strong Yama influence in his career, his career as a spiritual teacher. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about his, whether he recommended or, pushed a lot of restraining type practices or not.
Because his ashram does not really discriminate between the rich and the poor and things like that. Aurobindo ashram is supposed to be one of the best in the country. So yes, the judicial restraint is very high.
Okay, so that's kind of how he set up the standards of his ashram.
Yes.
Okay, so John Lennon, fascinating, Agni Lagna, very creative person, right? He's an artist, singer, band, we all know the Beatles, but he has really strong Kubera nature. He's one of the richest rock stars of all time. I mean, something like $800 million he earned. And it wasn't like he was doing it for the money, right? He was a creative artist. but he just managed to collect and accumulate all this money. And as well, he had like this humongous record collection. He has a huge legacy of records, songs, poems. He started stamp collecting when he was a kid. Then he has stacks of journals of his art. It's all about, Kubera is not just about money. He's about accounting and collecting and accumulating, right? So he had drawings that, they came, I saw them there. There's like a list of, John Lennon books for sale of his art books. And he has cartoons, like cartoon books, and he collected all this stuff. And they're all kind of out there if you wanted to buy them. Also art. He was a big art collector as well as he did art himself. He loved little pithy sayings. He collected. He was a word, he was crafty with words, like twists of phrase and puns, and must have a strong Mercury. He was quite into the puns and playing jokes on people. God, it's in the 8th house. But anyway, he's got Moon, Mars, Saturn, and the Karmasha is Jupiter, all in Kubera. Nothing in the Lagna. The Lagna is Agni. So the Agni is pretty there. It's not obscurated by any other grahas. So very passionate, creative person.
That he is. And
that's what he's known for.
So, what do we have here?
Okay, so these are the in-between directions. We have, so on the wings of Indra are Ishana in the northeast and Agni in the southeast. Mm-hmm. And then on the wings of Varuna are Vayu and Nritti. Okay, so, yeah, Nritti. This is Ananta and Brahman. They're the up and down directions. Yes. We got Vayu, Nritti, Agni, and Ishana Shiva.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. So we have. We will go once more. This is Agni here, and then this is Ananta, and this is Nritti.
Kind of a Kali, Nritti
is the Kali form of Durga, the Shakti.
Yeah.
Then here we have.
Which one are you pointing at? Oh, that's Vayu.
Vayu, and
Vayu, on his antelope, and that's Agni up there in the upper right.
Yes, and this is Shiva. That is right bang in the middle is Shiva. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we have Winston Churchill.
Okay, so starting on the left side of Indra, Ishana, that's the northeast direction.
Okay.
I picked in Winston Churchill because remember Ishana Shiva is the one who guides, like a spiritual mentor or guide. Now Winston Churchill, that's not his occupation. But the overall effect, I think, of Winston Churchill was to keep inspiring his people not to give up. That's a strong thing of Ishana Shiva, is inspiring others to keep going, to stay on the path, do the right thing. So, I just want people to know it doesn't have to be literally a priest or, a spiritual person. I don't know if he was spiritual at all, really. But the effect he had on the globe, on the planet, was to keep people's spirits up when things were absolutely falling apart at the seams. Before World War II started for the rest of us. The British were fighting for a couple of years Hitler.
Yes.
So, and his whole, So his life. He got a Nobel Peace Prize. He was a great author. He did a lot of things. but I think that folks might not think of kind of a war president as being an Ishana type, but just think we should think outside the box about these deities and not get too trapped in the literal meaning of them. So you can see also there's nothing else influencing his D10 Lagna, just the Ishana. Mm-hmm. But again, if you want to go into deeper analysis, we can look at all the grahas, especially the ones that are pertain to the career, which is the Sun and Saturn and Mercury. Mm-hmm. He happens to have the Rashi D10 is ruled by Mercury, and it's in Brahma. So, meaning he was a very, very brilliant man, very creative. He painted. He was just amazing. If you look at his life, he was way more than a politician. So, that's that creative genius of a kind of innovator, create something. He was also an inventor. When he invented, let's see, it was something to do with the Navy. He was the Navy Minister of the Admiralty, and I forget what exactly right at this moment what he invented. He invented something. It'll come to me later. So anyway, he actually was a real inventor, or invented something tangible.
Mm-hmm. And his 10th house also, in the D10, his 10th house has Venus, retrograde Venus and Rahu. So it's also, there is, whatever he did would expand in terms of counseling, because again, Venus is a representative of counseling and things like that.
Uh-huh.
So, as you just said, he was kind of a person who would inspire others to, live. As you very beautifully put in a quote of his, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
So the World War II, I think it was won more with the brains rather than the bronze. The way he plotted and he motivated the soldiers and, the countrymen to. So a lot of things that you're saying has so much relevance, so much spot on,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This thing, Mercury here in the 12th house. Now, I don't know in the D10, is the 12th house in the D10 working with foreign,
yes.
It's strong, lots of interacting with, it's in this Brahma.
Yes. Foreign countries and things like that. He visited a number of countries during the World War II period also. So
right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, maybe you can see this on your auto, but we're reading up on Winston Churchill. He worked out of his bed.
Mm-hmm.
That was his office. I mean, he saw people. He had his secretary in there. He wrote. He did his business in bed.
Okay.
The office would be the 4th house, right?
It's in the 4th house of the home. D10 has its Lagna in the 4th house of the home, and by extension, your own very personal space of that.
Yes. Yeah, that's where he liked to work. Okay. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, Mother Teresa is, her Lagna is Ishana Shiva. Okay, like Winston Churchill. But it's her, her Lagna is in Indra, that's what I thought. Yeah, just what I was saying earlier, Indra Lagna. So she's a very commanding person. She could deal with she could squeeze money out of any dictator, right? She was a real hard-nosed when it came to getting money out of people. But her work was very, everybody knows Mother Teresa. She's now been canonized as a saint. Her life path was to, give the poor and to take care of the poor and the dying and to give them a dignified ending. She was a very, spiritual person. Her whole life was dedicated to God. But she also has many other influences going on here, as you can see. The Indra Lagna, Moon is in Brahma, so she's a very brilliant woman. Brahmamsha moon, which are in the Lagna of the D-10. And Yama is the, so she's got Yama, Brahma, and Indra all influencing her Lagna. So I hear that she was tough, taskmaster. That, to me, is that Lagna Lord in the D10 Lagna is in Yama, with the moon, which is in Brahma. So she, I'm not sure about this, but apparently she could create things out of nothing. I mean, she was a poor nun, came from Yugoslavia, shows up in India and creates this organization that, is in 100 countries, right? And worth millions and millions of dollars. So that's kind of that Brahma creating, manifesting something out of nothing. She didn't have support. She had no connections. And by the time she, became old or died, everybody knew who she was. She was world famous. She'd met all the great leaders and had them wrapped around her little finger. So that kind of shows some strong Brahma. I just put a note here that Nritti is dealing with death, the goddess of destruction, that she was very comfortable in that realm. That's where her son was. But just sticking with the Lagna, okay. Everybody knows what Adolf looks like. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, just that, you can look at lots of things. But, we all know what Adolf looks like, so I thought this picture showed sort of the dent, the impact he made on the world in his era. And he has that, no planets in his D10 Lagna, it's just Agni. So very, very passionate, impulsive, uncontained. When you think about the way he, like a wildfire, took over Europe really fast with the blitzkriegs and, he created a world war. I would say that it was Hitler who instigated that, like a wildfire. Like that Kandava, what's it called, the Kandara forest? Agni just Khandav forest, yeah. Agni consumes the whole forest. He's insatiable, can't get enough. Bill Clinton has some of this, because sometimes that Agni impulsiveness can be sexual energy, If it's mixed with Indra, it's kind of a difficult combination. If you're a ruler and you have a strong Agni, strong insatiable desire. Hitler, he's not real known for being a big sex person, but the will and the passion he had for power and control, and also you can see the let's see, what is this? The sun rules the 10th. Okay, so even though it's kind of a little outside the Lagna analysis, it's ruling the 10th house in the D10, and it's in Yama. So Yama, what does he do? He wants to purify. He has a standard, this vision of a pure race, right? He goes through great lengths to make that a reality.
And it's the sun, incidentally, is moved into the 8th house of transformation, death, untold misery.
Oh, yes.
Suddenness.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot, but you can, okay, so this is Bruce Lee, one of my favorite martial artists. I've never seen a clear example of, to me, Vayu, I have a Swati Mars, it rules my 10th. And what I do, I spent my life working with energy and chi and ki and prana and all that. And Bruce Lee is very famous for his ki power, his chi power. And he's just such a pure Vayu person. And this, I think of strength. This is like the outer strength. And this is the inner strength, the Kundalini, the energy within. So he's very famous for being, his kung fu movies. Enter the Dragon, Rahu rules Swati, and but Vayu is the deity that's totally influenced his career. The sun, the Lagna, and 3 other planets.
That's great. That's great.
Svargotama Lagna too, and Svargotama Sun. So it's just beautiful. If you watch him, he's like a windstorm. Very fast, very powerful, very strong.
Great. So it's funny. Okay. We have Rajiv Gandhi, one of our ex.
So Rajiv, everybody knows, is the son of Indira Gandhi, and he was kind of pushed into the job. I imagine he was an airplane pilot.
Yes.
By
Yes.
you. I think this is at the funeral of his mother with Sonia.
Yes.
So the Lagna deity is Vayu, and the moon's in Vayu. So he's strong Vayu. And I believe Indira also had something, I forget what it was at the moment, but I checked it. She had also something, moon. His moon is in Vayu, and his mother, coincidentally, was a strong Vayu person. Let's see, there was something, his Karmisha.
Shukra.
Shukra is, got the picture covered it up.
Yeah.
So Karmisha Shukra is,
He's also.
hang on a second. Is it all, it's in Kubera. Okay, that's right. It covered, I don't know why. See, that happened with the slides sometimes. Things would move around after I closed them. But anyway, this is a little aside, but someone had recently put on an Indian friend put on the Facebook page a big thing about Sonia Gandhi being the richest non-politician. I mean, I think she's head of the Congress Party, but she lives in this very opulent place. I mean, it was a big long screed from my Indian friend about how Sonia is so wealthy, I think $2 billion, lives in a place that's way, way bigger than the prime minister's. I mean, she has all this wealth, so I was thinking, Rajiv has Shukra in Kubera. His partner, his wife. That's a little off the Lagna, but it is his Karmesh, actually. And
she took over from where he left.
It's in the second house. Yes, she took over when he left up, but she's a very, very wealthy woman, having, like Abraham Lincoln, come from nothing. Poverty, parents, foreign country, didn't speak the language, right? Had very humble beginnings and ended up having, being one of the wealthiest politicians, maybe in the world. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, I had a hard time finding the Ditya examples, and I have to tell the truth here that I thought this Father Dimitri, he was in my files. I mixed him up with another father who worked with lepers in Hawaii. So I was kind of brushing up. I hadn't looked at his chart in a long time, and I saw he was a strong Niriti with Rahu and the Lagna in the D-10 in Niriti. So, the doctor in Hawaii who treats, works with all that Tamasic leprosy colony. Anyway, it turned out that when I was kind of brushing up on him, it turned out, no, it's not the same father. This father was a Soviet dissident who was put in a camp for 10 years in the Gulag in Soviet Union. And he had done nothing wrong. He said something, that they didn't like, that Stalin didn't like, so off to the camp he went. But after he was released, he became a real helper to the people. This was a time in the 50s. After he was released, it was the 50s in Soviet Union where there was a lot of atheism. I mean, he was a Russian Orthodox priest. And people were really hungry for God. And he would have little classes, and he was trying to bring them light. This is how I interpret it. He was trying to bring them light, like solving their problems, talking, you know, they had a lot of alcoholism, a lot of failed marriages, and, you know, you could easily divorce in Soviet Union. You could just send a postcard to the government, you're finished with your wife type of thing. And he was like trying to solve their problems and help bring, you know, deal with this tamasic energy. And he had a lot of, he was interrogated and tortured a lot. So there's a lot of he went through a lot of destruction, but became a really good influence on people.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I didn't have time to change it. I was looking for a doctor, so I was looking for somebody who actually worked with broken people. So he was kind of more of a doctor of the soul. But again, he was tortured a lot and interrogated constantly and followed by the KGB. Okay, so that's Father Dmitry Dudko. Okay, my favorite example of Brahma is Arnold Schwarzenegger, believe it or not. You don't think of Arnold as being a genius. But Arnold, again, very humble beginnings, Austria, came to the United States with nothing. He knew in his mind when he was a kid he was going to go to America and become rich and famous, you know. So Brahma, you know, think of Brahma. He's going to create out of nothing. I mean, he had nothing. He had very nothing family. And what's he do? He comes to the United States, and through his body, he materialized, you know, it was the body that was his vehicle. He made himself into this famous bodybuilder, and that's how he got famous. But that led to making movies, you know, Conan the Barbarian and then the Terminator and all those movies he made. So he created movies, and that led to him sort of reinventing himself as he became governor of California. And with no political experience at all. He wasn't a very good governor. He has no Indra, no Agni. He's not a good leader. But he was a brilliant guy, you know, in terms of, real estate mogul, created lots of businesses, institutions, you know. He found a Kennedy to marry to pump up his Brahma image, you know, as Brahma. So, you know, and he created this massive body out of just, you know, his effort and his work. So you can see how dominated he is by Brahma. The direction upward.
Yes.
And then we have one more, which is Ananta, the downward direction. The direction, I thought I had to put Modi in here. Very strong Ananta person. Now, Ananta is a support. Now, we missed these guys. I think they're on the, they're in my table. I made the table into, I revised it and split it in half because it was running off of the slide. So back on the slide, there was these guys that I don't remember talking about them. Okay. They're in the beginning, that table.
Okay.
That's okay. Ananta is basically, you know, it's the bed of Vishnu. So people who have strong Ananta are supporters.
Yeah, yeah. I saw it right at the end. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so they often are like homemakers and secretaries and, you know, administrative assistants, nurses, things like that. Now, Modi isn't that at all, but, I mean, he doesn't seem to be. I don't know how. I know he's popular, and I know after he became president, I was reading about him, he's very much into reaching out and getting support from people that India wasn't connected to, making, you know, connecting links with people. Maybe it's possible that my chart was wrong, but he seems to be extremely dominated by being a kind of a supporter of other people. Maybe he's pumped up people in his administration. He's not. You can correct me.
SueAnn, you are right. True, very right. He's a people's person with his demonetization scheme. with his demonetization scheme in India, launched just a few weeks back, not even few, a couple of weeks back, he has been trying to make the change of the century in India. The transformation at its best in India for the better. He has reached out to countries, bought in deals where no one would go, where we did not think something was possible.
Oh, wow. So you could say he kind of went down to the bottom, like going under the earth and holding it up or something, going, I'm trying to think of how Ananta often is sort of a supportive, takes more of a supportive role.
Yes, he's digging in deep. True to Ananta form, he's digging in deep, getting things out right from the bottom to clear the Devas, to clear all issues.
Wow. I'll have to look deeper and see if I can see any niriti in there too, because he's getting rid of the debris.
Okay.
But just looking at the chart that I had anyway, he had such a strong emphasis on Ananta. So anyway, I have one more chart, and she's a woman that I deeply admire. I saw a documentary about her, and I love this lady. She's the daughter of the famous Sufi leader. I forgot his first name. Anyway, yeah, is that his first name? Inayat? But anyway, she was a spy for the British because she grew up in Paris, where her father had a Sufi center. She spoke fluent French. So when the war started, she signed up for the to learn how to break the code, to get the information about what the Nazis were doing when France fell.
Yeah.
So she went behind the scenes and was a spy. She got captured after about 3 months, but she did very valuable, sent back very valuable information to the British about, you could say she was like a partisan, but she worked with breaking codes and sending. And anyway, she worked undercover as a spy and got captured and ended up getting sent to a concentration camp where she died. So I see her as a strong Ananta person, someone who, sacrificed, supported. People didn't really know about her. She has lots of other influences here too. You can see this is the Rashi here. She has the sun in Vayu, so lots of skills and moving between borders, back and forth between England and France. Okay.
And she has her, even in her ascendant, she has Ketu. Ketu is somebody who would not be visible throughout. So she does, in her D10 ascendant, she has Ketu.
This is the D1 right here. This is D10 up here. Sorry. I reversed them. Yeah, I ran out of room.
D1. Okay. In D1, and D1, she has in the 5th sign of the king throne. She is Ketu, non-visible part, working for the throne from behind, that kind of a thing.
Right. Okay, so basically this, Varma here, this is, I believe it's Sarjeet Potter. So all that, I just put it there because it has all this nice information.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is nice.
So many symbols and everything, just gelling in and things like that. Okay. Yeah,
so that's like a lot of, what does the weapon mean and the Vahana and, all those. There's a lot to the deities that I still have to learn. Anyway, I have no idea why this came out purple. I tried to make it darker, but that last slide. But anyway, that's it. That's my little. I love biographies. I love looking at how things are in people's charts. learning about people.
It's been a very beautiful learning experience, SueAnn. What do you say, Phyllis?
I think it's absolutely wonderful. And SueAnn, I want to thank you very much for responding so positively to my request.
Well, I felt so honored when you asked me, and I just, you know,
Well,
I wanted to do something on nakshatras, but but this was like, to me, because that's where my attention has been, on deities and you know, figured everybody's wanting to do stuff on nakshatras these days.
well, with what you have done, SueAnn, with this lecture, you have opened this up tremendously for many of our viewers. And I wonder if you would consider taking this same approach, maybe applying it to other Vargas, applying it more, however you choose to apply it, because it is so valuable. And I'm being a bit pushy here, if you would possibly consider doing a written article. Because sometimes when something is written down, it's easier for the students to keep copies of it, things like that.
Okay. I could do that.
You're wonderful.
Sure.
You're wonderful.
Yeah, so let me think about other Vargas. I mean, right off the top, I thought of the D-12. There's only 4 deities in the D-12.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, you know, about the parents and the grandparents and stuff.
Definitely. And
yeah, so
how the bloodlines flow and whatnot. This is great.
Okay.
So
Great.
yes. Yeah, so Phyllis, that was a very great idea, and we're looking forward for it from you, SueAnn. We'll keep you, you know, you keep us posted, or we'll keep hounding you.
Okay. Well, thank you for being such a wonderful hostess, Anuradha. Good to see you again.
Thank you, all of you, and a very, very Merry Christmas to you. Your Thanksgiving began, so a Merry Christmas. Looking forward to seeing you before Christmas, or at least just past Christmas. Okay. Thank you once again from the Saptarishis team.
Take care, SueAnn.
Okay. Thank you, Phyllis.
Bye now.
Good to see you too. Bye.
Then he said, please think on this fundamental question of astrology. Why are you born in so-and-so Lagna, Taurus Lagna, Karka Lagna? Why not in some